when you talk about those New York Yankee teams, and of course Morris Joe McCarthy and the way he handled players at that particular time, it was a great deal different than what we see today.
Well, it's a little different. You know, players today and old-time ball players that I played with, they questioned whether Joe McCarthy could have managed today, because he was, in a sense, a disciplinarian. And for the day, the things that baseball players do, and I guess managers are a little more lax or whatever it might be. I think that's because of what it calls for today. Lax in the sense that they're not as disciplined as Joe McCarthy.
Joe, let's talk about a contrast in style, because if you read about hitting, Joe D has a slight uppercut swing. Ted Williams has a slight uppercut swing. If you talk to Wade Boggs today, or if you talk to George Brett today, an outstanding hitter, both outstanding hitters, they believe in a completely different concept. And I know in talking to someone just the other day, they were talking about Bill Dickey's theory of hitting and lining the knuckles up, that was the single most important thing to Dickey when he was the hitting coach on the New York Yankees. Today, that's almost passé. They don't even think about that.
Well, that's the way I batted anyhow. I had the knuckles lined up. But to get back to your original question here, and talking about the hitters and my uppercutting and the other fellows uppercutting as well as Williams, I'd have to go along with the theory, and I did exactly that way Paul Wainer hit. He hit down on the ball. So I have to contradict you there, Don, that I hit entirely different. I was more of a line drive hitter. Ted naturally had great power, and his line drives, incidentally, he had that little bit of the uppercut. His line drives were the most difficult line drive to try to catch, particularly in the outfield, because his balls used to sink on a line drive, and they were very difficult to catch. But his balls that he hit high just kept going and going and going, and my gosh, it just went out of sight. And here you thought it might have been a fly ball, but when it landed, you knew that was a real major home run. He was just a great hitter, and he did all those things. Now, Brett is a good hitter, no matter what you look at there. He goes to the opposite field. Ted was a pull hitter, strictly pull hitter. The times that he did go to bat, Cleveland, for instance, they shifted the whole infield, like the third baseman played behind second base. The shortstop was over playing practically in the second base position, and of course, second baseman between first and the second baseman, or the shortstop, whatever you want to call it. Oh, there comes the rains. But and he still tried to pull. All he had to do was go the other way, but it was a challenge to him, and he still loved to hit that ball on that part of the bat, and like to see that ball take off.
When we talk in terms of major streaks in baseball, I guess the year 1941 comes back to everyone's mind that is old enough to remember, and for some of the younger folks that are listening right now, one of the most monumental years in baseball, and the fact that you hit in 56 straight games, and of course Ted Williams at that particular time hit 406, both in the same year, both going for the most valuable player. And it's amazing that you would have, and if I remember correctly, Joe, and I don't have the stats in front of me, you struck out 13 times, I believe, that year, which is incredible for somebody hitting the ball the way you did.
Well, I don't remember how many times I struck out. As a matter of fact, up until this day, until you just brought it up, I didn't know that was the year. But I didn't strike out too very many times. But I want to tell you about Ted. He is the greatest hitter I had ever seen, all through the years. And when they had to vote for the MVP, he hit 406 that year, which is a remarkable thing. I did beat him out by one vote. And I could have not squawked or wouldn't have felt bad had he had beaten me by the one vote. It would have been nice had we got a tie.
The most difficult decision that you had to make as a ball player, was it the day you decided that was going to be it, that you were going to retire? Was it somewhere else during the course of your career? At what time do you think was the single most difficult decision that Joe DiMaggio had to make?
Well, I'm sure you hit it right on the head when you had to, when you said I had to make a decision whether I should retire or not. And I finally made a decision when I did retire, and I stuck with it, because the year before I had made up my mind that I was going to retire. But because of all the injuries that I had, after the season was over, my injuries left after the first 3 weeks, and I felt good. And I said, "My gosh, I'm going to give it another shot." Well, it was the biggest mistake I ever made. After the first 2 weeks I was in spring training camp, my ache started to come back, and I knew I had made a mistake, but I stuck the year out.
Hello everyone, I spend a lot of time trying to get you guys nice videos, so please subscribe to this page. Thank you.